Close-up, technological marvels, reading text. Weightless. Having no weight or appearing to have no weight. Private enterprise. The economic system in which industry or business is owned by independent companies or private people and is not controlled by the government. Design. To decide how something will look, work, and so on, especially by drawing plans or making models. Capture. To catch a person or an animal and keep them as a prisoner. Government. The group of people who are responsible for controlling a country or a state. Age. The outside limit of a surface of an area. Grab. To take or hold somebody or something with your hand, suddenly, firmly, or roughly. Reduce. To make something less or smaller in size, quantity, or price. Shuttle. A spacecraft designed to be used for traveling to a space station. Launch. When a ship or a rocket sent into space for the first time. Curiosity. A strong desire to know about something. Observation. The act of watching somebody or something carefully for the period of time, especially to learn something. Requirement. Something that you need or want. Galactic. Related to the system of stars that contains our Sun and its planets, seen as a bright band in the night sky. Word focus. Icarus, in Greek mythology, he died when he wore wings made of feathers and wax that melted when he flew too close to the sun. Weightless, having no weight or appearing to have no weight. Private enterprise, businesses owned by people, not by the government.
To the edge of space. Throughout history, mankind has been fascinated with flying. From the myth of Icarus, who flew too close to the sun, to the invention of the most advanced fighter plane, man's fascination with flight has driven us to create bigger and better flying machines. In 1903, man's dream of flying like a bird came true with the Wright Flyer, the first machine to achieve controlled flight. Over 60 years later, in 1969, the Boeing 747 took to the skies. Manufactured in the world's largest factory building in Seattle, USA, its wide-body design was able to carry more passengers than any other aircraft, reducing the cost of airline travel. In 1976, Concorde was introduced. This was the first and only passenger plane to travel faster than the speed of sound. Space travel, too, has had its own amazing developments. In 1981, the Space Shuttle grabbed the world's attention when it became the first reusable spacecraft. Space travel has captured the imagination of thousands of youngsters. One such young person was Burt Rutan. At the 1957 launch of Sputnik 1, the first man-made object to orbit the Earth, Rutan was just 14 years old. He believed that government research into space travel would someday mean he too would be able to journey into space. By the mid-1990s, however, Rutan had realized that waiting for the government wasn't going to work. It was then that he resolved to build his own spaceship. If my dream was going to come true, of floating weightless in the black sky and being thrilled by the sight of Earth from outside our atmosphere, I'd have to get things started myself, said Rutan. Rutan was encouraged to build his own spaceship by the slow development of aeroplane design. 5 years after the Wright brothers' first flight in 1903, the aeroplane was still just a dangerous curiosity. Only a dozen or so people had tried flying in one. Yet by 1912, hundreds of pilots had flown aeroplanes of different designs that were developed through private enterprise. The bad designs crashed, the good ones flew. Soon, factories in France, England and Germany were producing hundreds, then thousands of aeroplanes a year. Why did this happen? Bert Rutan believes the answer lies in 2 observations. That has to be fun, and maybe I can do that. Rutan's optimism finally paid off. In 2004, his specially designed spaceship, Spaceship One, successfully entered space and made it back to Earth twice in 2 weeks. Those were the requirements to win the $10 million Ansari X Prize, a prize designed to encourage the development of private space travel. Rutan's success got the world's attention, and various schemes to commercialize private space travel began to appear. In one such scheme, Sir Richard Branson has licensed the technology of Spaceship One for his company Virgin Galactic, which hopes to offer ordinary people the opportunity to visit space. Branson unveiled the follow-up craft, Spaceship Two, in December 2009. Virgin's first spaceships will have 2 pilots and 6 passengers aboard. Passengers, who will pay $200,000 for a ticket, will float weightless for 6 thrilling minutes as they gaze out at space through a large window. Of all the things we've done, Branson says, Virgin Galactic is the one I'm most excited about. Every time I look up in the sky at night, I think about how incredible the opportunity is. People have been waiting for this moment for thousands of years. Many people think that one day we will be visiting space as easily as we now visit foreign countries. Perhaps by then we will also have created space holidays or galactic weekend breaks. One thing is for sure. Whatever happens in the future, man is going to continue trying to fly faster, higher and further away than ever before.
Okay, now, people has been fascinated with flying from the myth of Icarus till now. Icarus was a man who wore a wing made of feathers and wax that melted when he flew too close to the sun. So that fascination with flight has driven men to create bigger flying machines. In 1969, the Boeing 747 took to the skies. Manufactured in USA, create wide-body design to carry more passengers than any other aircraft. Then in 1976, Concorde was introduced. It was the only passenger plane that traveled faster than the speed of sound. People also fascinated to travel to space. At the 1957, the first man-made object had launched to orbit the Earth by a young man called Rotten. Rotten realized that waiting for the government researches wasn't going to work, so he built his own spacecraft. 5 years after the brothers' first flight, the aeroplane was still dangerous, and only few people had tried flying in it. But by 1912, hundreds of pilots had flown different designs of planes, which he developed through private enterprise. Soon, factories in France, England, and Germany were producing thousands of planes every year. In 2004, Roton's spaceship successfully entered space and made it back to Earth twice in 2 weeks. Then Sir Richard Branson had licensed the technology of spaceship One for his company, Virgin Galactic, which hoped to offer ordinary people the opportunity to visit space. In 2009, he used the Spaceship Two, which had 2 pilots and 6 passengers abroad. People think that one day we will be visiting space as easily as we now visit foreign countries. So, man is going to continue trying to fly faster, higher, and farther away than before. Now, exercise A. Read the following statements about the history of flight and decide whether they are true or false. Number 1. The first jet-powered aircraft traveled at more than 11,000 kilometers per hour, 9.6 times the speed of sound. True. Number 2. The first aeroplane crash occurred in 1928. False. Number 3. Leonardo da Vinci designed the first hot air balloon around 1485. False. The average person would take around 3,500 years to walk to the sun. True. Now, exercise E. Complete the sentences with the noun form of these words. Develop, fascinate, invent, observe, require. Number 1. The of the computer changed the way we live. Okay, the invention of the computer changed the way we live. Number 2. Rob's with aeroplanes led him to become a pilot. Rob's fascination with aeroplanes led him to become a pilot. Number 3. In the last decade, there has been several in space technology. In the last decade, there have been several developments in space technology. Number 4. Detectives need to have good powers of observation. The last one, a university degree is one of the for many jobs. Okay, a university degree is one of the requirements for many jobs.